Before your history books began, I was one. One land, one ocean, and no one to witness the silence. Before time fractured into your calendars, I was whole. I remember when I pulled all my lands together, like a mother curling her children close. That was Pangaea, my single skin. It was not a name I gave myself, but it works. I did not build cities, but I shifted mountains with a sigh. Back then, I was a single continent surrounded by the global ocean Pangaea. No north, no south, just everywhere. My breath was thick with carbon and life. The crust beneath your future was restless. Massive mountain ranges like the central Pangaean Mountains, ancestors of the Appalachians and Urals, rose as my plates collided in slow, silent violence. You see maps now and think of separation, but once your nations were neighbors. Africa sat beside North America. Australia touched Antarctica. Back then, I was still figuring out how to balance my weight. Volcanoes stitched me together, and rifts slowly whispered of the future fractures to come. I was warm, but not from kindness. My skies were dense, my atmosphere more than double the oxygen you know today, and that made everything enormous. In those days, my breath created giants. Trees with no flowers, no fruits, just spores and height. The forests were cathedrals, damp, endless, and sacred. This was the Carboniferous, ferns the size of houses, lycopods that reached 100 feet high. No mammals, no birds, no grass, just shadow and damp green silence. Insects ruled the world. Have you ever seen a dragonfly the size of a hawk? Meganeura soared through my skies. Millipedes the length of your arm curled beneath the leaf litter. Creatures so old their bones dissolved before fossilizing. Life was quiet, but vast. These forests, rich in carbon, would become your coal, the very fuel of your future empires. You burn my ancient breath to power your present. I don't mind. I only wish you remembered where it came from. My swamps were alive with echoes, but not the kind of noise you know. It was a hum, a pulse, a shared rhythm of life stretching out before time had a name.
The air began to dry. My swamps thinned. The age of moisture began to fade. And with it, new travelers emerged on my back. Reptiles, the first of their kind to dare the dry. They evolved lungs that could drink air and skin that didn't need to stay wet. They weren't fast, but they were brave. Small creatures like Hylonomus scurried between dying ferns and the cracking mud. I remembered the sound of their claws on dry stone. They came in silence, not roaring like your cinema creatures, but with purpose. The continents began to bake under my sun. My deserts widened. The great basins formed, like the Karoo in what you now call Africa. Rain fell less, life adapted more. And I began to prepare for the change. The Carboniferous ended, and the Permian began. An era of survival, of thinning air and shifting shadows. Your ancestors, tiny, furless, fearful, were barely whispers in the soil. But I saw the potential. I always do.
You think change is fast, but I move in deep time. Slowly I pulled the warmth from the air, and then, when they least expected it, I sighed fire. The Permian extinction. The great dying. Over 90% of marine life gone. Over 70% of land species erased. I do not do this often, but sometimes I must reset. My volcanoes in Siberia roared for nearly 1,000,000 years. They choked the sky with ash. Sulfuric rain fell. Oceans turned to acid. The very breath of life reversed. Did I cry? No. But I mourned. I carry every extinction like a scar beneath my crust, not as guilt, but memory. You look at your world today and see stability. I see the tightrope you walk.
Today, you stand on soil older than language. Every stone, every mountain once lived a different life. Your skyscrapers rest atop ancient oceans. Your oil is the liquefied sun of my past. Your forests grow in the shadow of ancestors 300 million years old. I remember who I was. I remember when I was whole, when I held my forests close and let dragonflies hum lullabies into my skies. You are not intruders. You are echoes. Every breath you take is borrowed. Every footprint you leave presses on a world that remembers more than you know. You marvel at fossils. I call them my memories. And when you burn my forests, poison my waters, and crack my bones for fuel, I do not hate you. I simply remind you, I was here long before you, and I will remain long after. But I don't want to outlive you. I want to remember you kindly. So when you look at the earth, this pale blue dot you call home, know that you are walking on a dream 300 million years in the making, and it still isn't over.